someone look down.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Special episode Monday night here, heart of Texas. I am your host, TJ Riddell, and here with me, we're back together, reunited
Yes, sir.
in the heart of Texas. How are you doing, my friend?
Oh, dude, solid, man. So excited to have you here.
Why am I here? Why am I here? Are we here to talk about Waco, Texas, or are we here to talk about football?
Waco, Texas.
No, we're actually here to talk about NFL football. What happened in the past 3 weeks because the PMP hasn't been on for that. So, in other words, we're going to go through 2 games, one per game, one person per game in weeks 5 and week 6, and then we'll go over week 7, and then we'll make our Monday night predictions. Thursday night, we'll go over the week 8 predictions since we already went over. We're going to go over week 7. So, Caleb, so far, how does everybody look thus far? Like, as far as who's your favorite team at the moment? Like, who is competing well? And then who's the team that's the most disappointing? I'm pretty sure you and me have the same answers.
Well, that's a good question. I can't say I have any, favorite or team that I think has done the most best, other than the fact that maybe pointing out a player like Geno Smith has been a pleasant surprise. I'm sort of a fan of the Seahawks. My dad lived in Seattle, so kind of root for them every now and then. Plus, I was a big Russell Wilson when he was with the Seahawks.
Yeah.
And then a disappointing team would probably be the Bengals for me. Just they've had some close games, but we all know that, they had an awesome run in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
And they have, pretty much the best, or not the best, but the same lineup as last year. So
pretty much. You got Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, and then Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins out on the outside, Joe Mixon. The only problem I see with the Bengals is their offensive line.
And it's the same thing as last year. They had a lot of struggles there, and just the last 3 years, really, since Joe Burrow's got there. So
they
had brought in Leo Collins, who's played well when he's been out there. He has had injuries, still a lot of things to be cleaned up there.
Yeah, absolutely. My most impressive team thus far has to be the Giants. Danny Dimes is just rocking out this year. Saquon Barkley, like you said in the preseason podcast that we did here in Waco, Saquon is on the verge of being comeback player of the year. Hopefully he stays healthy.
Most improved
too.
Got to go to Geno Smith for sure.
Yeah, Geno Smith for sure.
Even if he falls off a cliff next week. They just beat the Chargers.
Yeah,
we'll get into that a little later.
But let me tell you something about this Giants team. Dallas beat them, but this team with Dibble as the coach, he was under Nick Saban when he was at Alabama. So expect perfection out of this team for New York, and so far they look fantastic. We'll talk about yesterday's game against the Jaguars later because that was a pretty interesting game.
Oh yeah.
But their defense has really shocked me the most because last season, man, they were garbage. Now they're dogs. So but my most disappointing team has to go to the Denver Broncos. My goodness, they can't score under or over 20 points, it seems. Not even 18.
And the sad thing is, a lot of the biggest problem to that is just the offense is out of sync.
The offense looks confused as hell, and it's not helping the defense out for Denver.
You can make a strong case that Geno Smith is a better quarterback as of right now than Russell Wilson was.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say.
Yeah, for sure. And as you can tell, me and Caleb are pretty high on Geno Smith right now because Geno Smith has a very interesting background too. Like, he played for West Virginia with Pat McAfee. Shout out to Pat McAfee. Then he goes into the NFL, gets drafted, I think, by the Jets. This is how far back Geno Smith's been in the league.
The Jets for about 3 to 4 seasons.
Yeah, and got his jaw broken, actually, with the Jets. Then he's been a journeyman, pretty much backing up really good quarterbacks. And now he emulated all their styles. And look at him now.
and he's playing like a totally different quarterback.
Yeah.
The throws here is making the big time throws are outstanding.
Things
that we haven't seen from him in his previous years with the Jets and all these.
If you told me 5 years ago if Geno Smith was going to have a breakout performance in 2022, I would have said you're high. He's probably going to be retired by then.
Right.
But man, he looks good. He looks good as a quarterback right now. And not only that, they have a good pair of running backs, Kenneth Walker and also Rashad Penny, who's out for the year, which is sad, but
it's nice to know that you have that depth there at that position, you know what I'm saying?
So, a position that we thought that maybe hurt this season, because
and even that filled a hole by just Chris Carson retiring early. You had a lot of these backs retiring early, him and Todd Gurley. So
speaking of Todd Gurley, he retired.
Just put up the cleats. He was officially what was it, last week?
Yeah.
I believe so. Earlier last week.
That was before I came up here. I was at the deer lease, didn't shoot anything.
Everyone had the idea that it was already set in stone. I mean, with him being 28 years old, it's sad to see, especially since he was so productive.
Yeah.
And like with 3 straight seasons with Rams, argued to be the best running back in those 3 years. So
yeah, absolutely.
To see him fall off the grace of earth, it's like, dang.
He was a top performer in Georgia too. I mean, if you guys go back to his collegiate years, he was a dog, literally. But let's go ahead and skip the chit chatter. Let's go ahead and hit up week 5 before we get into actual news, before we get into week 7. But week 5, I'm going to go and talk about Geno Smith and the Seahawks and the New Orleans Saints. So this game went 39-32. It was pretty much a back and forth game for some instances, but it was 32-31. Seahawks were on top, and then Taysom Hill with a 60-yard run to cap off the win for the Saints. Now, Andy Dalton had a 16 for 24 passing completion and attempt ratio, 187 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Taysom Hill had 9 carries, 112 yards, 3 touchdowns. Geno Smith, on the other, 16 for 25, 268 for 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's what we're talking about with Geno Smith. Now, Kenneth Walker III, since Rashad Penny was out, he had to fill in those shoes. 8 carries, 88 yards, and 1 touchdown. That's 11 yards a pop.
And the thing with Geno Smith is that we see these big time throws, and these are throws that are throws by Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, throws that are not a whole lot of people can make. So you can definitely tell he's been in that work zone on his craft. But not only that, he's the cleaning up the turnovers. That was the big thing with the Jets.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think
I can applaud him for.
I think the Seahawks. Now we'll talk about the Saints here in a sec, but I think the Seahawks offensively, they have played a lot better than recent years. So maybe it's Pete Carroll realizing that, hey, we got a quarterback that's not like Russell Wilson. He's more pocket presence than Russell Wilson is.
Right.
So that might help our offense out. Because if you look back at Pete Carroll's USC days, he never had a scrambling quarterback. Matt Leinart, Carson Palmer, Mark Sanchez. I mean, he was a part of that Pete Carroll tree, you know? So
those are all similar.
Those are all similar to Geno Smith. And Pete Carroll does really well with those types of quarterbacks.
Strong arm. Yeah.
Strong arm quarterbacks. Yeah. So, and again, the running back core, I mean, they're just underrated is the word I got to say. Very underrated.
Yeah.
And then Tyler Lockett in this game went off. 5 receptions, 104 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara out of the backfield, 6 receptions, 91 yards. So.
And how many, this whole season for the Seahawks, they've been able to put up numbers.
Yeah, big numbers.
Scoring, you know what I'm saying? They've been one of the highest scoring teams in the league, which is surprising in itself.
Yeah. But
they also give up a lot of points too, so they have gotten better in recent weeks.
Yeah.
They're still getting scored on 20, sometimes 30 points. So
yeah,
they're having to just battle it out in those regards.
Yeah, and every loss they've had so far has been battles. And, I mean, the Saints, too. I mean, the Saints are struggling a bit because they don't have a true number one guy, and Jameis Winston's been out, So this was a big win for the Saints. Andy Dalton, we know him as Red Rifle. He not his best game, but at the same time, 16 for 24, only 8 incompletions out of 24 attempts. That's not too bad, but still, he's got to be better than that. I mean, ever since he got released by the Cincinnati Bengals, it's just been, man, journeyman.
Yeah.
But great win for the Saints in that game. Who do you got for Week 5?
Week 5, I give it to the Patriots here. Go out there and put up a just straight killer performance, winning 29-0 against the Lions here.
Yeah,
and the Lions they're a tough team. For them not to score 1 point, I mean that's crazy to me.
Yeah, especially with the way their offense has been scoring in the past 4 games up to this point.
Yeah,
they were on top of the NFL in points scored. For a 1-win team to do that, that's insane, and still lose.
Yeah, and just the way they won, they did it in Patriots fashion.
Yep, the Patriots way. Bill Belichick.
They ran the ball about 30 to 40 times just with those 2 running backs. So Stevenson putting up, what was it, 160? Let me see. Got to go back here. 161 yards.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just a great game, and then Zappe had a good game as well.
Yeah, how about Bailey Zappe, the former Victoria East Titan, dude?
Yeah, I don't think anybody knew, even myself. I didn't think anything.
I had to do some research on that kid.
Yeah.
Former Houston Baptist, transferred to Western Kentucky, set the NCAA passing touchdown and passing record. I mean, this kid is top notch, and coming from a town in Victoria, a high school called Victoria East, I'm pretty familiar around that because I cover a podcast for South Texas football as well.
Mm-hmm.
Check out the Gridiron 64 podcast. I'm on there sometimes. We talk about South Texas football, but back to NFL talk.
But yeah,
so
there might be a QB controversy there. You know what I'm saying? Definitely a QB battle.
I wouldn't say a QB battle. I would say that for Brian Horner and Bailey Zappe. But if Mac Jones comes back tonight, I think Mac Jones is going to get the start. But Bailey Zappe has really done a good job for that Patriots team. All right, Week 6. All right. So this was a week that we saw a lot of upsets. Mm-hmm. We saw a potential number of upsets, and then we just saw pure domination. And I have to go to this game because it was incredibly frustrating. But I got to tell you, this fucking Philadelphia Eagles team is just unbelievable, man. They led the half 20-3 at the half. Dallas started to come back a little bit, and then Philadelphia pretty much iced the game with Devontae Smith with a 7-yard touchdown pass. They did fail the 2-point conversion to make it 28-17, but it's 26-17 the final.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm really impressed with Nick Sirianni, dude. Nick Sirianni is a great fucking coach, and he's an entertaining guy, but he's a little bit over eccentric, in my opinion, because you did beat a backup quarterback. You played against guys that are struggling to find who they are, really. And plus, Dallas hadn't really played anybody up to par except for the Giants, And Philadelphia, same way. They really haven't played anybody, but I still think that Philadelphia is the team to beat in the NFC. The NFC is wide open up until Philadelphia, So
right.
Jalen Hurts, 15 for 25, 155 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Cooper Rush, 18 for 38, 181 yards, 1 touchdown, but 3 picks. That was his first 3 interceptions of his career. Probably his worst performance that he's ever had. Ezekiel Elliott, though, 13 carries, 81 yards, 1 touchdown. And Sanders, 18 carries, 71 yards, 1 touchdown. So pretty similar, but Zeke had the better yards per game. A.J. Brown, 5 receptions, 67 yards, and 1 touchdown. CeeDee Lamb, just 1 yard above him, 5 receptions, 68 yards, no touchdown. I think in this game, Philadelphia definitely did outcoach Dallas, but you played against a backup quarterback. Now, if Dak plays, we don't know what that's going to be like because it could be a shootout. It could be a good game. Dallas, to me, is still the best defense in the NFL. What's your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the game was. I mean, Eagles definitely controlled the game. Cooper Rush definitely showed. We were able to see some exposing going down. We definitely saw that this was also another game that I thought, Zeke played well, but I still think it was for sure that Tony Pollard is getting more snaps, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
So they're starting to go that route, which I think it should have been given probably last year, but they both played well this year, so it's hard to say. He's definitely – I think it makes Zeke's better just to see that Pollard's killing it.
Yeah.
So the running game is definitely good to see. The defense, they played well. I mean, but Jalen Hurts has definitely played better. He's shown that he has good pocket awareness now. He's definitely improved on just decision making, and they're working with him as far as his players coming to help him out. So they're getting a lot of wins just by that. Just everybody using their best skill set.
Yeah, for sure. And I gotta tell you that final 30 seconds of that game where Nick Sirianni was like, "Yeah, we fucking beat you. Fuck you, dude." I mean, that's just dog mentality, and I love that, But at the same time, you're the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. You got to tone that down a bit. I would understand if you're an assistant head coach, but
I didn't like it. That was tough.
Yeah. Tone down that dog mentality when you're a head coach. I understand if you're doing it at practice, but in a game where you're playing a backup QB, I would calm down on that. Yeah. This isn't Premier Leagues or none of that. This isn't some JC ball game, so I would tone down on that. The only one I would allow to do that in an NFL game would be James Brown James Brown from Indy Community College. Shout out to him, Coach JB. But who do you got this week 6?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Giants getting that win against Baltimore. I thought that was a good, hard-fought game. Just seeing that game, that really said, "Hey, these guys are actually pretty good."
Yeah, legit.
So. Big performance from Daniel Jones. He had 2 touchdowns here. He's been really good with protecting the football. That's what he's struggled with in the last couple of years of his career. Doing that, Lamar Jackson was under pressure a whole lot. Made a couple bad decisions at the end there, what cost him the game. They definitely have a running game with Kenyon Drake. J.K. Dobbins, I believe he was injured that game.
Yeah, he got injured in that game.
Another standout there, Mark Andrews was having some nice catches. I mean,
he's looking like the best tight end this year. I mean, he's been in the top 5 or maybe top 10 in tight ends.
He's definitely gotten better just from making them spectacular catches.
Yeah, the former Oklahoma Sooners now really putting in some work. I mean,
right.
But I gotta say, that play call when they decided to go for it on 4th down and they decided to fucking throw.
Right.
That's what – I'm thinking of the Buffalo Bills game still because that pissed me off. I think the play calling for Baltimore has been shitty as of late. But like I said earlier, the Giants are absolutely killing it this year. And that's a legit win.
Right.
I have to say that's a legit win because Baltimore is not a team to be looking at as a weak team like for instance, Washington or Pittsburgh or Cleveland or any of these teams that are actually looked at as a lesser team by experts.
And a big game in the future that I really want to see, the Giants and the Cowboys, they played each other already this year.
Yeah, but
and we were able to win that game.
But we were at home, so.
And that was the second. Was it the first, second game?
That was third.
Was it third?
Third game of the year, I believe.
Well, they'll play later on this year, and I really want to see that game because the Giants have gotten better, I think, throughout the season.
Yeah. And you know what they say? It's hard to beat a team twice, especially in this league because
I expect it to be a closer game.
Yeah.
I expect Daniel Jones to play better, but at the same time, I want to see that. I want to see how he can handle, our pass rush since we have had a really good pass rush.
Yeah. Right now, I think the Giants are a top 10 offensive team. And like I said, that Giants defense, they are sneaky. So, but yeah, that concludes the week 5 and week 6 recap. Just kind of go over a couple of games because we wanted to kind of just talk about it a little bit. Just talk about who's improved, who's kind of been shitty in the last couple of games. Another team to look at is like, what the hell's going? 2 teams I want to bring up: the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Green Bay Packers. Mm-hmm. Packers, I kind of understand because there's no targets for Aaron Rodgers. The run defense for Green Bay is lackluster. But man, the way they lost last night or yesterday, good grief. We'll talk more about that, but how about the Bucs? What is going on with the Bucs right now?
Yeah, I mean, ever since preseason, we've been having a lot of red flags with their organization. They've had injuries here and there, key injuries like offensive line and also with wide receivers. But you have a big drop from Mike Evans there, which is crazy to see. Just little things that you don't expect. Tom Brady hasn't played his best ball in the last 2 weeks.
Giselle's a witch. That's probably what it is.
So yeah, I think
mystical powers.
I just don't think he's in his right mind right now. I think it's just a tough time for Tom Brady, and I don't know. I know he says he's not retiring soon, but
he needs to.
And I know he doesn't want to go out like the Brett Favre way, where you go out looking pretty rough.
But that's what happens when
go out like Peyton Manning went out, Super Bowl win.
But that's the problem, though. Like you cannot just retire and then unretire and expect, hey, I'm gonna win, and then you're going through a divorce too. That puts a lot of stress on you financially because you never know what she's gonna take from you. You never know how she's gonna take it away from you, how much of it she's gonna take away from you. So divorce is no joke. Mm-hmm. I've seen guys in my military career that have gone through divorce, and it's not a fun deal, I'm sure. But for Tom, he has lost his fucking mind. He said that playing football is like being on a deployment. Have you ever been on a deployment? I tell you what, it is. Whew, Tom, get your head out of your ass, man. Let's go. But I gotta say, those 2 teams have been very, very disappointing.
Yeah, even the Bucs defense the last couple of weeks
have been lackluster.
Playing against. I got to go back and watch the game, man. It's tough to even think about, honestly.
Yeah, but that's where we're going to go into. We're going to go into week 7 right now. All right. So we're going to go over this game right here. This game is not what the score indicated. We sat there and watched the entire game. And I'll be honest with you. I was already mad because of the game that we watched the day prior. Mm-hmm. This game pissed me off a little bit because the first half, the Lions were controlling the game defensively. And our defense looked like we weren't ready to play in the first quarter. Then we started to bounce out of that funk in the second quarter defensively. Offensively, still in that funk. And then once the second half came along, that's when Dallas started to put it on Detroit. But 24-6, Detroit loses again, but the score is not, or the game wasn't indicated by the score. It was indicated by the stats. But Jared Goff, man, he threw 2 interceptions that should not have happened, in my opinion. I think we're seeing the ceiling for Jared Goff. I mean, what's your take about this game, man? How do you feel about it?
Well, the interceptions, I mean, one of them was warranted. I mean, Jordan Lewis made a great play going down.
Oh, absolutely. Great catch.
The other one I honestly can't remember. Can you refresh that one? Was that an Anthony Brown? Oh, no, Diggs got one.
Yeah, Diggs caught. So, but that was an easy interception for him.
Right. But yeah, just going back on the game there, and I mean, this is the thing with Jared Goff. He looks good here and there, and then he'll throw out some sneakers at times.
Yeah.
As far as his arm talent goes, he's got a good arm. He's pretty accurate, but yeah, I mean, the defense, we've had good overall defense for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So just showing that guys make plays. I mean,
yeah. And Diggs has played a lot better this year. He's played smarter, not harder.
Yeah, he's not giving as much yards up as well.
Yeah, but I gotta say, Dak's return. How'd you feel about it? Did you feel like that he was?
No, yeah. Honestly, they came out flat. I mean, for God's sakes, it was just so slow. And then we've seen this multiple times where the Cowboys will come out flat.
Yeah.
And we're trying to basically catch up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Luckily, we were able to catch up and win by 2 touchdowns. So
yeah. Do you feel like Dan Campbell's on the hot seat, even though it's his second season?
No, not even.
I don't think so.
Dude.
I think they love the way he's trying to build this culture into winning ways, and the players love him.
Oh, he's the most passionate coach in my opinion.
Yeah. Former tight end for the Cowboys and tight end for the Texas A&M Aggies.
I don't think he's no mastermind or anything.
No.
He's just a straight motivator,
and he's got a good collection of coaches right there to help him out.
He's the best at what he does. So
yeah,
I think he's definitely one to keep around. Now, granted, if they don't have a winning season, maybe next season.
That's when you start.
I would say he's probably out the door.
So, do you think it might turn into a Matt Rule situation where they kick him out of the curve?
Matt Rule, I don't think people were behind Matt Rule. Like they could be with the dude.
Yeah, Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell. Jesus.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name. But I was thinking of something else. But yeah. So yeah, I think it is a different situation. I think he's a good coach. I don't know if. I mean, I think he's the right person for the job.
He's the right guy he's the missing component to what Detroit's coaching needs to be. And not only that.
They haven't had Swift, dude.
Swift is
a big part of their identity.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about the short screens, underneath throws. I mean, Swift was utilized very much so and made it to where those crossing routes would start to come open for those wide receivers. So,
yeah. And I love his attitude. I really love Dan Campbell's attitude. I hope the Motor City Cats really get it going and they start biting kneecaps off and all that talk that Dan Campbell does, because that man really motivates me to talk about him, you know?
Yeah, and it's a frustrating loss for them. I mean, they
had him
in the bag, honestly. And it's been this way with a lot of the games so far, and this was all last year. So it's like it's got to be frustrating for Dan Campbell and the Lions just because
it's frustrating
like
for
the same road again.
Yeah, Jamal Williams too.
And they don't get the dub.
Yeah, Jamal Williams too. He's frustrated.
He had a good game. I mean, we look a little. I'm saying we, but the Cowboys looked a little squishy down there.
Yeah.
And down on the interior line. So,
but next game was a game that I thought it was going to go this way. 35-17 Bengals. And Joe Burrow is back, folks.
Let's hope so. I mean,
34 for 42, 481 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Yeah. They happen.
But he had to have a good game this game.
Yeah, and Tyler Boyd, my goodness, 8 receptions, 155 yards, 1 touchdown.
So, yeah, he had a day.
Yeah, so
He showed that he
maybe
could be a number 2.
Maybe this is a confidence builder for the Bengals, man. I mean, with Joe Burrow finally able to throw passes, able to throw over 400 passing yards, over 450, 475, that's what you need out of Joe Burrow if you're Cincinnati. But the problem has been the offensive line for Cincinnati. That's no question. But to me, this year, there's been a lot of drop passes and a lot of good coverage on Jamar Chase this year. I mean, look at the Jets and Bengals game, for instance. Sauce Gardner was all over Jamar Chase in that game. I don't know how many catches he had. That's how much coverage Sauce Gardner had.
Right, and I think Chase, he has a good release and all, but I think he can struggle with these bigger press corners.
Yeah.
Especially if they have at least sub 4 or 5 speed, then we're seeing that he's struggling with these bigger corners on him.
But with the Falcons, though, is it time for Desmond Ridder? Or what is going on?
I mean, I don't know. I think Mariota's played well. He's definitely shown that he can run. When he played with the Titans, it seemed like that's what he struggled with. He struggled with when to run and his pocket awareness. He's shown a little bit better. He kind of just will, if it's not there, he'll just go ahead and run.
Yeah.
Just whatever, right? He won't really sit in the pocket much. He won't really try to make a throw, which he has made some good throws this year. But I don't know. I would stick it out with Mariota.
He did have a fantastic throw against, or he threw it to Bird, who had one reception for 75 yards, and that was a touchdown. That was the only touchdown for Mariota in the Falcons passing game. But Tyler Algier, former BYU Cougar,
he's like pretty decent.
16 carries, 50 yards for 1 touchdown. So
he's shown that he can run the ball hard.
Yes, sir. Next game was a pretty low-scoring game. We thought it was going to be a low-scoring game. I chose the Colts. You chose the Titans. You ended up being the victor in this one, 19-10. And speaking of the Colts, Sam Ehlinger is going to start Week 8 for the Colts.
And it's much needed. I mean, they need something different. Someone that can run when needed. I mean, Matt Ryan he doesn't move well anymore. He really was never the guy that moved too well. So they just need some kind of change. I mean, they're a pretty good team, and this is a good, in my opinion, a good franchise organization. But yeah, they're not coming out on top of some of these games, which you think they might have won. So.
Yeah, I mean,
shocking to me.
It started off 13-0 at the half for the Titans. No offensive productivity for the Colts until the second half, and then Matt Ryan, 33 for 44, 243 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions though. Ryan Tannehill only threw 13 for 20, 132 passing yards. And then Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry, King Henry. 30 carries, 128 rushing yards. Jonathan Taylor, he didn't have as much carries or yardage. 10 carries for 58 yards. Still pretty good yardage for him, but
gotta wonder what that is about. I mean, low-scoring game.
They're down by 13. They can run the ball with Jonathan Taylor. I guess it's
very
not
risk, in my opinion.
Yeah,
especially considering now the Titans have had good. They've been pretty good at stopping the run this year.
Yeah,
that D line, they've been done really well. But my thing is he's your best player. Give him the ball a little bit more than 10 freaking carries. Now, are they just kind of being cautious with him because he just came back from injury? I'm not too sure about all that.
Yeah, I don't know, but
it is a red flag.
It is definitely a red flag, and the Titans have really struggled this season, in my opinion. But now they're 4-2. I mean, it was kind of an ugly win, in my opinion, for the Titans. If they are the Titans that have been in the past, I mean, this is the second straight season they've swept the Colts.
All right.
Second straight season. So if you're Frank Reich and the Colts, you had to make a decision, and you made that decision. Some reports are saying that Matt Ryan has been benched. There are some reports that he is not even in the second QB spot because of injury or just being benched. So we don't know what the hell's going on in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I mean, he had one good game. I can't remember what team it was against. It was, I think, in week 4, though, where he threw like 300 yards or so.
Yeah.
3 touchdowns. He had a really good game that game right there. But for the whole year, he just really struggled. Turnovers like crazy, which is not usually Matt Ryan.
Oh, for sure. But this next game is another struggling team against another struggling team who is pretty much the bottom of a barrel team in the NFC East. You know who I'm talking about.
Right.
The Washington Commanders pull off an upset against the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers are 3-4. And they lose to the Commanders. And I got to say, I'm shocked. I'm shocked with the way that game came out because they have not played well offensively this year. Green Bay hasn't. I mean, Aaron Rodgers does not have the guys to get him open. Now, if he had Odell Beckham, that would be a different story.
Yeah.
But Aaron Rodgers, 23 for 35. Guess how many passing yards he had?
I couldn't tell you. I didn't even watch the game, to be honest. That one I did not.
Less than 200 yards.
Seeing that they lost is a shocker, though.
Less than 200 yards, 194 passing yards.
Well, then surely they got the running game going, right?
Aaron Jones, 8 carries, 23 yards.
What are they doing? Like, I don't even want to watch highlights of that game.
Yeah. And Tyler.
That's crazy.
And Heineke, 20 for 33, 201 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. That I can expect from Heineke. But Rodgers, under 200 passing yards, that's when you know you have a problem in Green Bay. It was a problem when you got rid of his best playmaker.
Yeah, that's crazy how they wouldn't pay him.
Yeah, and Scary Terry with the touchdown.
Being a Packers fan must really be just
infuriating.
Terrible. Like, you just...
Like, we saw it in the pre-drafts, or we saw it in the draft special this year. Like, who the fuck goes after...
freaking linebacker, dude. First round.
Not even fucking playing.
Projected 3rd to 2nd round.
Not even fucking playing. Like, are you kidding me?
But what do you can't get? Even if he's a really good linebacker, it's not going to give you much impact as a wide receiver is.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. You could have got Burks.
Fucking nuts.
There's a couple guys that you could have got on there. You could have got George Pickens. Like,
yeah, George Pickens has been excellent this year.
He's made some spectacular catches for sure.
And he will put somebody on the fucking ground, too.
He's just a good team player. He's got to work on his route running. He's a little raw. But at the same time, I mean, when he goes up and makes those grabs like he does, give him, like, jeez.
But next game is another legendary quarterback that he's going through a midlife crisis right now. He's riding a jet ski when it's not even on down the highway. Midlife crisis. So, 32 for 49, 290 yards passing. Pretty good numbers for Tom Brady. But no touchdowns. I wonder why. Mike Evans had a good game, but that big drop.
Yeah.
Whew.
Touchdown.
21-3, Carolina all over the Bucks.
It would have been 21-10. It's still not. I mean, you're going against the freaking Panthers, who are literally selling all their players.
Yeah, for draft picks. I mean, Christian McCaffrey for a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th round. I don't even know the whole rounds, but I tell you what.
I know they got 3 rounds for 1 year, right? And then they got 1 for next year. I think
that's a guarantee.
I want to say they got a 2nd and 3rd round, and then a 5th round, and then they got a 4th round for next year. But that's not exactly correct, but I think that's what I remember.
Yeah, and this is the first time Tom Brady's been 3-4 since 2002. 20 years ago.
Yeah, I saw that.
20 freaking years ago.
I mean, it's bound to happen.
2 decades.
15 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, no one expected the Bucks to put out stingers like that.
How about Deontay Foreman, former Longhorn? 15 carries, 118 rushing yards.
Yeah, no. He's played well since he's gotten with. what was it?
Titans. He was with the Titans last
he
season.
played good before the Titans when Derrick Henry went down.
Yeah, and he's
had a resurgence too because when he was with the Texans, they literally cut him.
Yeah.
Because he was like not wanting to play. He wasn't, he was fumbling in practice. So they're like, well, you don't care, then boom. So he's definitely came back to the league, and I don't know what he's done, but he's definitely changed.
He's in incredible shape too.
Well, yeah, he's just that, and he's showed that he wants to stay around.
And PJ Walker too, XFL legend, Houston Roughnecks. PJ Walker, 16 for 22, 177 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions.
That's a good game manager stat.
And DJ Moore, 7 receptions, 69 yards, 1 touchdown. And guess what the win probability was for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers before the game started? 87.4%.
Wow.
Against the Carolina Panthers, and they got spanked. So it looks like the NFC South is looking like the NFC. I can't even figure out a word to rhyme that. Doubt. Yeah, NFC doubt. There you go. Next game was a game.
Drought.
Well, this next game was an excellent game in my opinion. I think one team is very good and has a potential to maybe stop the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
And the other team, they are a really good young, fresh crop of guys, I feel like, that are still learning under Doug Peterson's playbook. Dougie Pete is a good coach. I will say that. He is a good coach. Even though in the past I have said that Dougie Pete's not doing the job for Philadelphia, but I think he'll do good things in Jacksonville. This is his first season. He's not like Urban Meyer, not going home with the team and talking to young girls, I mean,
he shouldn't even be on TV anymore.
Yeah, I agree. But it was kind of a shaky start for the Giants in between the first and second quarter. But, I mean, it was a hard-fought win for the Giants. Literally a yard short for the Jacksonville Jaguars to score and possibly win the game.
Yeah.
T-Law threw a beautiful pass, and I forgot who it was that made the catch. It was probably Marvin
Slayton.
No. Trevor Lawrence, the last play of the game.
Oh, no, that was my bad.
I think that was Jones or
Zay Jones?
Zay Jones or
Marvin Jones. It was one of those Jones.
Either way, he caught the ball. He was at the 1-yard line. Giants defense started pushing him back, and then the Jaguars offense started pushing him forward, right? And he got stopped. The ball was at the 1, and the game was over.
Oh, wow.
But Trevor Lawrence, man, 22 for 43, 310 yards passing. No touchdowns, no interceptions. Danny Dimes, 19 for 30, 202 passing yards, 1 touchdown.
So not the best, but
Travis Etienne and Saquon Barkley were the highlights of this game, in my opinion. Saquon Barkley, 24 carries, 110 rushing yards, no touchdown for him. But Travis Etienne, 14 carries, 114 yards, 1 touchdown. Now, I said this also about Travis Etienne, that he was going to be a possible comeback player of the year. He's looking pretty good with the Jaguars. I mean, they're putting him in certain spots where he can be able to be a playmaker.
And he has all the opportunity, especially with James Robinson going on. So it's like,
yeah,
here you go. Here's the ball.
And the good thing about Jacksonville right now, they're a young team. They're all young, defensively and offensively. But like I said about the Giants, they are looking red hot right now. Coach Dibble is doing a really good job with what he's doing. And this could be a really good matchup between the Giants and the Eagles at some point. Whenever I can't wait to talk about that game. Mm-hmm. I really can't.
I still got the Eagles. I think they'd beat them better than what they beat us, in my opinion.
But yeah, I mean, literally in the last few moments, the Jaguars and Giants win probability went up and down and then went back up. That's how close that game was, So good win for the Giants and very strong performance by the Giants. But this is a win in morality for Jacksonville, in my opinion. They played tough. But next game, your Brownies, 2-5 now.
Yep.
What is going on with the Brownies?
Couldn't tell you.
Well, let me tell you.
Stats ain't gonna tell the whole thing, though.
No,
I mean,
they are really struggling right now, and they're not looking like the team that we thought they would be this year. Even without Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I mean, this happens with the Browns. This is like Browns curse, honestly.
Yeah. But I got to say, Gus Edwards coming back from injury. 16 for 66 yards and 2 touchdowns.
So, yeah, he's just starting where he left off. When he got injured, he was playing really well.
Lamar Jackson, 9 for 16, 120 yards passing. Jacoby Brissett, 22 for 20.
Is it 120?
Yeah, 120 for Lamar.
Feel bad because I wasn't able to watch all the recaps of these games and all the play-by-play.
Yeah.
So I can't really say too much, but yeah.
But
as far as the score goes, I mean,
I did see, however, Mark Andrews did line up under center, and he did a halfback toss to Lamar Jackson, and Lamar got about 12 or 13 yards that play.
That's interesting.
So John Harbaugh's trying to be a special play type of guy. And Jacoby Brissett, 22 for 27, 258 yards. So he had a fantastic game. No interceptions, though, and no touchdowns. So
yeah, he's shown that he can take care of the football.
Yeah.
And then he has random games where he'll throw 3 picks every now and then. So it's just a consistency with him.
Yeah. Amari Cooper with 3 receptions, 74 yards. Nick Chubb, 16 carries, 91 yards, and 1 touchdown. That's the only good thing I see about that offense for Cleveland.
Yeah,
the run game. Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, absolutely dominant beasts in the backfield. But I got to tell you, this Baltimore team, they are probably the most inconsistent team in the NFL right now.
Baltimore, yeah.
I have to say that because there's games where they look good. There's games that they look mediocre. There's games that they look like dog shit. There's games where you're just confused if they're good or bad.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to come down to play calling. So
it really does.
Sometimes they shoot themselves in the foot.
But next game is not so much of an exciting game. Breece Hall did get hurt after a 62-yard touchdown against the Broncos. Jets won, though, 16-9. We already know the Broncos have been a shit show since game 1. Ripien, 24 for 46, 225 yards, and 1 interception. The Cougar Call, Zach Wilson. 16 for 26, 121. No touchdowns, no interceptions. Breece Hall, he only had 4 carries, 72 yards, and 1 touchdown, but he's out with an ACL tear. He's out for the season.
You hate to see it. I mean, he was literally breaking out.
Yeah.
The last 2 weeks, he was showing that he can be a force to be reckoned with.
I mean,
and he has long speed. I didn't think he had that. He has a little bit of long speed as well.
I mean, you're talking to a guy that has watched him since he was a freshman in Iowa State, and I would have told you right away, his breakaway speed is unbelievable.
This running back, Ricky Glass, is actually really well.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Damian Pierce, who breaks tackles like crazy. Sometimes he can get a little crazy with the football.
Yeah.
With ball security. And then you got Kenneth Walker, who's got explosive plays.
Yeah.
You got Breece Hall.
Yeah. But pretty low-scored game, pretty boring. But the Jets, 5-2.
Shit.
Who would have thought?
It is crazy to see, honestly.
I mean, we kind of said the Jets are starting to look a little bit better than last season. Didn't expect them to start 5-2, honestly. Especially with the Broncos bringing in star talent and whatnot. But it goes to show that stars don't make up the talent. And it's proven that with Denver right now. They're 2-5. Next game, we got the Houston Texans squaring squaring off against the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, this game was kind of close up until the fourth quarter, where Josh Jacobs just took over the game. 3 touchdowns. I mean, this guy is just unbelievable. 20 carries, 143 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had a trifecta.
Yeah, he's been a top 3 back this year.
Yeah.
I'd say Nick Chubb, and then Jacobs, and then there was one more that was on there. Oh, Saquon.
Yeah.
Those have been the best 3 backs this year when it comes to breaking tackles and making big plays.
How about this? Derek Carr, 21 for 27, 241 passing yards, 1 touchdown. No mistakes from him. And Devontae Adams, he didn't push no photographers. 8 receptions, 95 receiving yards.
About time, because his last game was not good.
Yeah, certainly frustrating. And Pierce, like you said, 20 carries, 92 yards. He almost had a 100-yard game in this game.
Yeah, he breaks tackles. He runs hard, man. And
Davis Mills, I mean, a lot of people give this guy shit, but I think he's a pretty decent quarterback. 28 for 41, 302 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. If he can manage the mistakes, I think he'll be a good fit for Houston. But it all starts with the talent around him and also the offensive line, which they're building around him right now.
Mm-hmm.
With Evan Neal, who went down yesterday. But I got to say, Josh Jacobs had 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. And honestly, if the Vegas Raiders could stay balanced and they stay balanced and give the ball to Josh Jacobs more,
right,
you're looking at a very different Raiders team and a very dangerous one at that. They're 2-4 this season.
They started off very slow. I mean, granted, they were in close games.
Yeah.
I think they're going to turn it around just with that star power they have.
Yeah.
There would be no way they don't. I mean, you have arguably the best wide receiver still in the league.
Yeah.
You got arguably the best running back this year. But it's like, yeah, it's hard to say that they don't make it happen and make it in the playoffs.
No, I agree. I agree, absolutely. And the Texans are 1-4-1. The only tie in this year's NFL season with the Colts. But next game we got to go to. This was a shocker for me and you both. Chargers fall to the Seattle Seahawks, 37-23.
Mm-hmm.
Geno Smith, Kenneth Walker III. Listen to this stat, folks. 23 carries, 168 yards rushing, and 2 touchdowns. While Austin Eckler, he only had 9 carries and 31 yards and 1 touchdown. But Justin Herbert was throwing the ball everywhere in this game. 33 for 51, 293 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception in this game. Geno Smith, 20 for 27, 210 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception.
Going to that, Kenneth Walker there.
Yeah.
Rashad Penny is on a 1-year contract right now.
Oh.
And since he's injured, what do you do? Like, Seahawks have been rolling with 2 backs since, Chris Carson got there.
If it were up to me, and if it had to do with salary cap, I'd franchise tag him.
I think Rashad Penny can get paid. But the thing is, he has been injury prone. So,
I would keep him as a backup.
I can see him going to the free agency, testing, and I can see him maybe not getting the biggest bag, but I can see him getting paid.
Yeah.
Even with those injury concerns, considering his production. I mean, the guy has one of the best yards per carry.
Yeah, for sure.
So it sucks to see.
And
hate to see it.
Marquise Goodwin, Olympian, 4 receptions.
Yeah, he came out of nowhere.
4 receptions, 87 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
His career was supposed to be over, I thought, but he came back and signed hasn't played football in like a year and a half.
Yeah. Especially with the tragedy that he had to go through when he was playing for the 49ers. That was really sad, losing a child at birth right before your game, and you really chose to play that game, and my goodness, you catch a beautiful pass for a touchdown. And that was probably one of the saddest things I've ever seen in football.
Yeah.
And it's tough. It's tough, but he had a hell of a game last night or yesterday against the Chargers. Austin Eckler, 12 receptions, 96 receiving yards, and 1 touchdown. So Eckler is that type of back where you can either get good yardage in the run or good yardage in the pass.
Yeah.
There's no in between. I mean, there's some cases where he gets good both running and passing or receiving yards, but he's that type of back where it's either going to be run game or pass game that we're going to utilize him the best.
Yeah, he is not scheme dependent. He can do a lot for you.
Yeah. Both teams go to 4-3. Chargers fall to 3 losses. The Seahawks bump up to 4-3. Next game was a game that I thought the Chiefs were going to win. You thought the 49ers were going to win. I thought the Chiefs would win convincingly over the 49ers. Take for granted they are playing in San Francisco, so.
Yeah,
and
with momentum. I thought 49ers would come in with momentum just from all the changes and whatnot. But.
And the 49ers started off strong, too. That's the thing.
Yeah, they pulled away at the second half.
Yeah, and the Chiefs did pull away. It was close up until 10:43 in the fourth quarter. Mecole Hardman with a 3-yard run for a touchdown. Then Jimmy G was sacked in the end zone for a safety. And then Juju Smith-Schuster, who we thought was going to struggle with the Chiefs. 45-yard reception from Pat Mahomes. Mm-hmm. And Mahomes had a 400-yard game. Jimmy G had a 300-yard game. Both of them threw a pick, but Mahomes threw 3 touchdowns. Jimmy G threw 2 touchdowns. Smith-Schuster had a hell of a game. 7 receptions, 124 receiving yards, and 1 touchdown. George Kittle, 6 receptions, 98 yards, and 1 touchdown. And Kittle and Kelsey had the same stat, 6 receptions and 98 yards. But I got to say, man, what a game up until the fourth quarter. But the Chiefs prevail to 5-2. The 49ers fall to 3-4. What's your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I mean, it speaks for itself. I mean, it's a good game for the most part. Chiefs just started making bigger plays at the end there and a couple turnovers as well. So kind of just turned things south.
Yeah.
Making the scoreboard a lot different than we expected.
Yeah. But last game before we get to our Monday Night Football prediction. We thought this game was going to be boring, a snooze fest. It kind of was. But it was the return of Tua Tagovailoa, a man that has really changed the game of football with concussion protocol, which it's on everybody with that situation. But the Miami Dolphins come away with the win, 16-10. They bump up to 4-3. The Steelers are struggling back down to 2-5. Kenny Pickett, 32 for 44, 257 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Tua Tagovailoa, 21 for 35, 261 passing yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, and he could say his ABCs, folks. He's fine.
Very nice.
So Raheem Mostert, 16 carries, 79 yards. Najee Harris, 17 carries, 65 yards. Jalen Waddle, 4 receptions, 88 yards.
So no standout performance here.
Yeah, but George Pickens did get a 7-yard receiving touchdown from Kenny Pickett. So that was the only score for the Steelers. The other score was for Raheem Mostert. A pass from Tua Tagovailoa. But it was just a straight-up field goal game after that.
Yeah.
But I got to say, man, that game was probably going to be a snooze fest, and it was better that we watched The Watcher instead of watching that game instead, because these primetime games lately have put me on a snooze fest.
Yeah, they haven't been very good lately.
Well, there was actually one more game that we forgot to talk about. And that was actually a Thursday night game.
that's right.
where
I watched every snap of this game.
Now, this game, you could probably talk about this game.
Well, I mean, I was just saying, like, I watched the whole game. You know, Andy Dalton he had some forced passes. I don't know if he just thought he was just overconfident in some of these throws, but they were not good interceptions by him. One in the end zone, and then one going off of Callaway's hands. It's not his fault there. So, I picked the Saints to win here. They come short. They lose by 8. Yeah, 8.
Yeah.
And it was a back and forth. It was a fun game. Both teams played well. A standout performer that I thought was, Chris Olave played well. He's showing that his route running is just superb.
Yeah, he's pretty much on top of the Rookie of the Year awards right now.
Right.
So that's a good thing for the Saints. I mean, that's pretty much your future right there. And if you're going to go with Jameis Winston, that's going to help out a lot right there because he's got a fucking cannon.
I was surprised that they stayed with Andy Dalton at the half. I thought maybe they would just go ahead and put Winston back in there.
Or Hill.
Just because,
but
I would rather have Winston. But
yeah, I'd much rather have Winston too. But
Taysom Hill does make explosive plays and he can do things. But it just as far as quarterback back there, I'm surprised I didn't put Winston in there.
Yeah.
Just from seeing what Andy Dalton was doing as far as the interceptions go, you might as well throw Winston in there because it was the same thing.
Yeah. And what was up with Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury? I mean, that was a weird sequence.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see that really coming, but they ended up running the ball twice after that, and it was kind of odd. But
like it looked like Kyler Murray was walking to
something that he wasn't seeing.
I don't know, but Kyler Murray was like, "Calm the fuck down." But Coach JV, he posted it. He was like, "No, I'd bench that bitch-made motherfucker," and that was probably the funniest thing I've seen throughout this week. But yeah, I mean, good win for the Cardinals. A freaking shootout. I mean, the Saints were starting to come back a little bit, but they were just too short and they couldn't get the onside. But Cardinals coming away with the win. They're 3-4.
Finally a good Thursday night game.
Yeah, finally.
2 or 3 that's been pretty stinkers.
Yeah, like fucking Indianapolis and Denver and somebody else. Anything
Washington
with Denver.
Played, I know that.
Washington and Chicago. I mean, good God. Can we get some better primetime games? But Cardinals are 3-4, and the Saints are 2-5. So that concludes our recap of Thursday through Sunday. Now we're going to have our predictions for this game. Belichick in history set to collide as the Patriots host the Bears. Now, it looks like the matchup predictor for ESPN, the Patriots have got an 82.1% chance of winning this game. But Mac Jones has pretty much struggled this season up until his injury, and then Bailey Zappe has really came into play. He's really helped out that offense. They're 3-3 right now. The Bears, they show a lot of promise. I will say that they show a little bit of promise, but they are struggling too. Justin Fields, I mean, he has 4 touchdowns this season, but 5 interceptions. And it doesn't help when your receiver doesn't know the difference between trying to catch it in the end zone or trying to reach it into the end zone. I mean, that was a dumb move by Darnell Mooney, and that got the Commanders that win. But Herbert has been a force to be reckoned with this season.
Right.
63 carries, 402 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns. But Stevenson has 87 carries, 448 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So we
help to think that this is probably going to go the same. Both teams might go with the same game plan. Just keep it on the ground.
Keep it on the ground and
here and there.
Yeah.
If that's the case,
it's gonna be a low scoring affair.
I feel like the Bears matchup against the Patriots.
This is gonna be a good game.
But I will have to go with the Patriots here, just with it being at home.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think they're an overall better team at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I think Justin Fields will play well. I think, but at the same time, I can't see the Bears win here. I just can't.
That Patriots defense is tough.
So I'll pick the Patriots win by 7 here.
Yeah, I mean, that Patriots defense is really tough too. We haven't really seen much out of the Bears defense this year. I mean, they've been in close games, but what's been shooting them in the foot has been turnovers for the Bears. But I gotta say, I will pick the Patriots to win, but I think it's going to be a little bit more than 7. I think it's going to be 10 points in this game. I think it's a low-scoring affair, 27-17 type of game, maybe a 24-14 type of game. Bill Belichick's going to have a really good game plan for the Bears, Justin Fields and the Bears, just like he did against the Lions. I mean, if they're going to come out with a run, we're going to use our run defense. That's basically. But I feel like the weakness for the Patriots is their pass defense.
I can see Justin Fields getting loose in this game. That's why it's going to be closer.
Yeah.
They're going to do some play actions, and he's going to get some long runs from that.
But
they get a QB spy on him, but.
Yeah. But there's another thing. Bill Belichick's kid is really good. I mean, I don't know if he snorts coke before a game, but he is locked in, focused on that defensive side because he is focused out there. I mean, yeah, they're 3-3 and they gave up quite a bit of points against the Packers, but I mean, I gotta say, man, this Patriots team might be on the verge of breaking out. I feel like that the Patriots are going to do well in this game. Caleb's got a 7-point cushion for the Patriots, and I got a 10-point cushion. But that concludes our live stream of the PMP live. We kind of have been lost.
We've been real busy.
Real busy.
I mean, we weren't even able to watch all the games like I usually do. So
yeah. Last 3 weeks we've been super busy. So
yeah, I got a new job, and so it's been tough trying to figure out the new schedule and all. So I'm gonna try to make it. Every week, if not, hopefully bi-weekly. So,
yeah. And there might be some times where I'm by myself. With the college, I am going to be by myself because that's how I run things with the college, because that's my deal. But with NFL, this is the man to go to because he knows what to do. But in other words, thank you everybody for watching on this live stream. Caleb, with your final words, please, sir.
Go Texas. Okay. It was fun, man. It's good having you down as always. Hoping to get more consistent on my part. Feel a little underwhelmed as far as just knowing what games were this week.
Yeah.
Like I said, just a lot of big upsets, and I mean, a lot of football is still to come, and I'm excited for next coming games as well.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully we can get some guests on here finally, I mean,
that'd be nice.
It's been a while since we had a guest. I mean, together the last time we had a guest was Booby Miles.
Right.
And then I had a guest on, his name was Coach Eric Martin from Seminole High School. That guy is a cool guy to talk to. Check him out on OMW Recruiting on Twitter or Instagram or whatever social media there is out there. They help you guys get recruited. I wish I had something like that when I was in high school. I bet you Caleb had something like that when he was in high school. Also, if you're in the South Texas region, go to Twins Passing Academy, where the Twins, David and Matthew McHugh, both offensive coordinators for Ingleside High School and Corpus Christi Miller High School, they do academies for young talent that in the Coastal Bend. Hell, you could possibly bring somebody from Waco all the way to Ingleside, Texas, or wherever they have it this year. They have guests like Reggie McNeil come in, former Texas A&M Aggie. They have former coaches. I mean, I would send my kid if I had one that's going into high school there. But I'm 26. I don't have kids that age. I don't even have kids, bro. That's crazy. But anyway, tune into this next Thursday as I come back to the Coastal Bend. I'll be talking about college football. I will have a major fucking rant to talk about, and I will be slamming my desk about it because this needs to be fucking talked about. Big 12 officials, they fucking suck. But anyway, tune into next Thursday or this Thursday as I'll be going on live probably early afternoon, and then later that Thursday nightish around 6 o'clock before the game starts for Thursday night. We don't need to do a recap for this game because people will know about it. But thank you everybody else for watching, because we are the greatest football podcast in YouTube, soon to be Spotify, soon to be ESPN or Fox Sports. I don't care which one, as long as we get hired there. But anyway, we are the PMP. Thank you for watching, and ta-ta for now.